the opportunities our ticketing channel and mobile ticketing channels that offer a different alternative offer to getting more riders back on public transport. Obviously, right now, we don't want anyone to travel who doesn't need to travel. So yeah, bear this in mind. However, there's a time after COVID. There's a lot of uncertainty, and there's still the need for more sustainable transport. So yeah, we believe, despite recession fears, this need will not go away. So I will cover a little bit about Fairtick and our product, just to ensure everyone understands how we use technology to make ticketing really simple and as convenient as having a season ticket. And then I will go into some case studies, some examples of where our technology has been deployed and has worked with different functionalities to actually achieve a growth in ridership. And then, of course, a brief discussion slide on the COVID crisis, what it means for us, what it means for operators and for tariff communities. And yeah, then I'm very interested in your input. So how it all began to everyone or many people as the public transport paradigm. Tunnels get built before, completed before the due date, and stations are really nice and clean. Very complex tariff structures, still a lot of cash handling with the drivers, current suspended, and yeah, a lot of complex machines that niece or nephew's guidance to actually navigate if you haven't used it before. So with this in mind, IDEA was born to make public transport really easy, to create the same comfort level for occasional users as the season ticket holders experience, who can just enter the train, never have to worry about a ticket, about the right tariff. And yeah, in that way, Fairtick was founded. And in 2015, it has been going then from strength to strength. So let's see if to work right here. Basically, the function is the user opens the app, slides to the right to purchase a ticket, and after exiting the bus, the train, the tram, the ship, you slide to the left and you will pay for the correct ticket. We will charge for the cheapest ticket that's available for this particular journey.
Paula?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
We've been receiving that your connection is a bit lagging.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you could check your connection at the moment, or if your slide, or maybe close other apps or videos that you have it, or maybe try to download the presentation to your computer and then share it from that side. Or maybe you can try and to reconnect.
Sorry about that. Just a second.
Maybe for now we can stop the sharing of your screen so it will go faster a bit.
sure.
Or maybe if you can just turn off your camera.
I turn my camera off.
Yep.
That's
Also one of the options that we can try as well.
And I will see if this works better. Oh, doesn't look good. Right.
It's okay.
Okay. Sorry. Let's see. How is this looking now?
It looks a bit smoother. Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's try and continue. Sorry about that. So the gist of it is that it's a really simple ticket to use. And maybe I just pick up from there. This has been confirmed by the user numbers, which have been growing steadily. Yeah, we've been very happy about the growth there. However, as you can see here, we've had the same impact from March onwards, a severe reduction in trips, and in April, a very low volume of trips, only those traveling who really need to. So still, the figures we always like to share our high reviews in the app stores, the number of active users. So this is a trusted system. It's used a lot. It is working. It's not, we're not at the beginning of our journey, but we've smoothed out the issues that happen with new software at the beginning. We have almost 13 million trips have been completed using the app, and we have a market share in only a few years. So again, building or referring to the speed that is required, not just now, but that would have been nice to have achieved in the past as well. Is really time to market. I don't think our users and public transport users will want to wait much longer until mobile ticketing solutions are available. Fairtix started with just three authorities and operators to build the minimum viable product. In 2018, we've been able to cover the whole of Switzerland with our tickets. Also due to the very wise decision that in Switzerland, one authority, one operator can sell for all other tariff communities. So this is a real enabler for travel. Which we can only see as a best case scenario, as best practice for other countries as well. In 2020, in 2019, the decision has been made to accept mobile account-based ticketing nationwide, that it is something that's going to stay. In the previous years, it was a large-scale market test, and now it's established. And there will be a license that you can apply for to become one of the vendors. So the success story of Fairtix covers mostly the DACH region, so Germany, Austria, Switzerland. In Switzerland, we cover the whole network. We have a strong partnership with SBB, the Swiss Federal Railways, and the similar setup we are working on right now with ÖBB in Austria to include our technology into their ticketing app to offer a check-in, check-out ticketing. And then we have multiple smaller islands within Germany where our app has been launched or is going to be launched in the next few months. The blue dots highlight our labs. So we have a lab app with which we fulfill trials and pilots where the technology is tested or a specific tariff is tested or another functionality, and where the decision hasn't been made yet to make this available for everyone, but to make it make a test with maybe 20,000 users or 10,000 users. So these are the list of our partners up till now. And again, how our app works is that we only base it on the technology that's in the smartphone. We do not require any physical infrastructure. We use geolocation data and other sensor data to track people's movements. And we use algorithms and machine learning to improve the travel recognition and to calculate the right price. So therefore, we do not require real-time data systems that we are linked to. It's really simple to set up. Even a small operator who may not have a lot of digital tools, we will be able to offer Fertig within a normal project duration of sort of 2 to 3 months to offer Fertig on the ground. These 2 to 3 months is not the time that we ourselves require, but that often there are times on both sides, on the partner side, to prepare the information that we need so that we can move on. Have traveled on. In this case, there are 3 different tariffs that are covered to calculate cheapest fare, and this is then billed to the user. Same for the underground. We will use other data, not GPS, to track the journey and improve the data capture over time with artificial intelligence or machine learning. So any idea about this journey someone may have taken? It was a paraglider. So if someone forgets to switch off someone checks into Fertig and forgets to check out and doesn't look at their phone for a while, then we sometimes have nice trips like this in Switzerland. Right, so in terms of products, lab, I already mentioned, for pilots, to test the technology, to test a new tariff with a limited user group and for a limited time. The Fertig Red is our core product, is the Fertig app, which would be launched in your municipality, or which is the one that is running in Switzerland, which means if you travel in Göttingen and you go to Halle the next weekend to visit your grandmother, you will be using the same app. It's not one app, a different deployment per region, but it's the one app. Obviously working on the vision to, at one point, you exit the train or the plane, and you can just check in with Fertig without having to figure out how the public transport works locally, how the tickets work locally. The third option is the SDK, which is what I mentioned regarding the SBB earlier. So we have the Easy Ride function, which is our tracking and tracing technology combined with the fare calculation. But this is modular, and if you just require the tracking and do the fare calculation yourself, that's also an option. So this is our offer to bigger players who are building their own apps and who want to integrate our easy travel solution. So the main topic I wanted to talk about, because this technology really opens up new ways to think about transport, public transport, and about ticketing. We see ourselves as much more than just a ticketing channel. So ticketing is only one bit, and if you procure a ticketing vendor, then you should think of the additional opportunities that some of them can bring to your system. So on the one hand, we see an opportunity, because of its simplicity, to bring new users into public transport. So it's really simple. There's no barrier to entry. All people have to do is swipe to the right. And this we find people are able to do no matter the age. We have our age range in the Fertig user group pretty much mirrors the users or the demographics of Switzerland. So this is a pretty good indicator. We cut across barriers of the so-called digital divide. So new users hopefully attracted to public transport by a really simple way of getting a ticket. Existing users, we can grasp, or we can entice to use public transport more by running specific promotions targeted at them, or by encouraging more use. So having, for example, the Fertig bonus, which allows, if you travel 5 times within a month, you get 5% off the next month. This can be configured based on your local requirements, but the idea is to get those who are using public transport occasionally to use it more often. Another way of doing this is by having caps introduced. This is more normal in the UK with the Oyster card and contactless, having these weekly caps introduced. But this is by no means normal practice in the DACH region. There, it's very much the clear idea that you only benefit from a cheaper bulk price, from a cheaper price for public transport, if you purchase it in advance. And with our system, postpaid, there are some that still need convincing that users should benefit from a price cap, whether they pay in advance or whether they pay bit by bit. So here we have some examples where where our partners are moving to this, and we are very happy to implement this. So you never pay more than X amount for this many trips per week. And once you have that in place and that mindset changed, you can also move towards the season ticket. So why not have the insurance that if you use Fertig, you will never pay more than the annual season ticket. So with pricing, this is how we see a way to entice more people using public transport, just through the simplicity of the app and the pricing options. Then marketing and communication. We are the customer touch point for you, for your users. We know where they travel. We can get the relevant information to them. Doesn't all need to be about discounts and monetary values, but it could be as simple as your line, the one you have traveled on, is extended, or there will be more buses running on this, more frequent, and you provide really useful information, quite targeted to your users. Then business travel solution, Fertig offers a variety of much more flexible ways than just a season ticket loan or paying for the season ticket of users. You could say you offer everyone a mobility budget of a certain amount. Therefore, people who are working part-time, who will work more from home, can benefit from it. And you can basically react to the diversification of how we are going to work in the future. Then, of course, our system provides lots of abilities to use data for planning, and you can try out and model different pricing models, and go beyond the traditional zones. But maybe I can show a few examples to highlight these theoretical concepts here. So one of them is Halle, where we just launched in November last year. So we had a very effective launch communication. Those who know German will read, this is simpler than Schwarzfahren, than traveling without a ticket. So quite sort of fun slogans. A tram was covered in our marketing material, merchandise, and lots of posters were out there. We also did a very targeted promotion, which is something that can easily and like within days be set up. And this is attractive or interesting for lots of different use cases. So today trips to the Hallmarkt, the central station where the Christmas market is, to and from the station were free. So for those, no fee, no ticket was charged if you use the Fertig app, which was switched off only on the Saturdays. And this, of course, can be used for your football event, which maybe at some point will happen again, or for anything, really. I have another example where we use this geo-targeted, geo-fenced approach also for work travel. So people with a code traveling to a certain destination, for example, their place of work, the charges will directly charge to the employer rather than the user. So there's a lot of ideas you can play with. We were very happy at the beginning of March. Our partner Havak did a survey of the users, and we've had we've had a very high response rate, and we've had 1,281 people participating, and 98.2% were satisfied or very satisfied with the Fertig app, and have even reported additional public transport trips. I know that those who work a lot with numbers will say, okay, self-reported public transport increase. That's not as maybe waterproof as actually recording it, but it is a good indicator of the often anecdotal evidence that we have heard before, people feeding back to us, I'm leaving my car in the garage, and I'm traveling more with Fertig or with public transport since I have the app. And we've had numbers from this survey of really a sizable amount of people that where a third has reported they estimate more trips. And we did a bit of number crunching, and we can, with a quite conservative assumptions and this data, we can say Fertig increases, or Fertig users travel 13 to 25% more, or generate 13 to 25% more revenue for the local operator. So really see Fertig not just as a sales channel, but as something that does more than that, namely increasing ridership. The other idea, the other project I want to quickly explain is our pilot in the VRS, which is the region around Cologne. It's a tariff community. They have been running a large lab app, a large pilot since April last year. This has been extended for another year now, so it's been extended twice already. And they are testing an innovative B-line tariff, so meaning users only pay for the distance of their trip between getting on the bus and getting off the bus or train. This helps to get rid of these unfair, sometimes unfair zone-based tariffs, and is a very transparent way of calculating a tariff and really easy to understand. So how it works in practice, there's a base price for every check-in, €1.50, and then per kilometer traveled, 15 cents. A day cap of €15 for this whole VRS region, which is very big. And each check-in is valid for 3 hours, so that's pretty long. And asked about how they felt, how fair this e-tariff is, or this digital tariff is, we've had an overwhelming response of 52% saying it's very fair, and another 32% saying it's fair. So if you are reforming your tariffs locally, we highly recommend reforming it to a way that is digitally easy to implement and not have tons of exceptions, but think of a simple tariff that can be digitally implemented, basically where you can write the rules in just a few lines on the spreadsheet rather than having to add a lot of pros in which cases and for whom this will not apply or will apply. Then one of our examples for staff mobility, staff travel. Here, the geo-fencing again for stops at these 3 sites of Hilti, the tool making brand from Liechtenstein. And people traveling between those 3 sites will, those trips will be free for the user and will be charged directly to the employer. Also adding a revenue stream and an income from a different source, namely directly the employer to operators. On top of that, as the staff benefit, the staff receive a €50. That's in the Fertig app. So really easy to set up, and the employer only pays for what is actually used. So if your employee is on holiday, doesn't use the €50 public transport budget, you don't have to pay it. And for the user, it's very easy to get because all they have to do is download the Fertig app and enter a personalized code for them to benefit of this budget. We are working not just with Hilti, but with a range of different companies on schemes like this, also some more advanced schemes to actually push off-peak journeys, to make employees travel at different times so that the operator locally benefits from this increased usage in the sense of not adding more pressure to the already really busy times. And so any issues you have locally around one big employer or a lot of demand on certain lines, we would be happy to look into it together to see with the employer, with us, and with the local authority and the operator to see what we can achieve to push people to travel at different times. Then our most recent launch, which was actually moved forward by due to the COVID crisis, is the VMT region. That's Mittelthüringen in East Germany, around 1 million residents, a bit more, and covering all public transport modes within this tariff communities. So, excuse me, light rail, buses, train, and trams. There we have, you see quite a complex zonal system, which we have implemented. So we can do digital e-tariffs, but we can also do the traditional ones. And we have here as a new implementation, we have the weekly cap implemented. The VMT and the local operators have agreed that this is a user-friendly approach, and everyone who hits that cap will not be charged for their additional trips. And we were really pleased to be able to launch this prior to the original launch date to offer a safe and contactless way of traveling locally if you need to. So as a summary, Fertig offers the intuitive and seamless customer experience, and we promote ridership. We have the automated best price, which instills trust and confidence in the system. The user knows they're not being overcharged. I see there's something in the chat. Sure. The launch date for VMT was in March. In March this year. So just a few weeks ago. Good. And maybe we come to the last bit because I'm a bit over time. So what about the virus? Of course, you've seen here the massive decrease in ridership. And as in the previous talk mentioned, there are a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainties. Timelines vary across countries of when the restrictions are eased. And we don't know what the new normality will look like, how long, whether there will be a second wave, how people will feel about traveling on public transport. In Germany, there was this talk of the Virusschleuder, so the virus sort of distributor public transport. And we don't know of any long-term changes to travel behavior. So what we do see is that really now is the time to act, not just do the short-term measures of more hygiene, higher hygiene levels, but to also think about the future. We've seen and we know that people won't necessarily commit to annual tickets anymore as they face the uncertainty of not knowing whether they can travel again as they did before. There will be a need for more flexible tickets they will not benefit from the discounts on monthly and weekly passes. So really what we're saying, apart from the obvious of really working on replacing cash ticket sales fast, you'll have to think more strategically around alternatives for the season ticket and monthly pass holders. Think about a win-back campaign. How can you make sure that those who cancel their season ticket are not lost for public transport completely, that they don't switch to their car, but that they will remain within the system and at least as an occasional users. And really that you need to prepare now to be ready for reopening. Yeah, so in the light of that, let's get started. I will turn off my presentation now so I can focus better on the chat and questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Paula, for your presentation. Very interesting insights you gave on the one side on the technology and the solution you deploy and the current challenges that you're facing. In the meantime, where I guess the questions will come in, I give to the audience some time to formulate them. I had myself one, picking back your picture with the paraglider, which reminded me extremely the eastern part of the Lake of Constance from above. It brought me to the idea, what about cross-border fare solutions? And as I'm living in that region, there is always a curiosity from authority side on how to get the things seamless through the borders.
Yes, that is indeed a very interesting topic. Of course, with a technology like ours, as such, it's possible to do this. So we can track you wherever you travel, as long as you have, as long as you are checked in. However, not always the operators and the tariff communities on either side of the border are agreeing on terms on either joint ticket, especially for regular use, not just the one-off family trip where you often have these Euregio tickets, which are a good option for leisure trips, but for the commuters, it's a bit more difficult. So we are currently working on these questions because you may have seen on the map that we have a project with the RVL, so the Lörrach region, which then also covers Basel. And in Basel, on the Swiss side, we already have fare ticket operation. So we are working hard on finding a way of, at least in the foreseeable future, enabling cross-border travel. That is really a great use case there, and would be beneficial for lots of other areas too.
Yeah, so I see now the questions coming in. For example, one is, what is your business model towards the PTOs?
So we are a platform. It's a software as a service model. As such, there's a small setup fee involved to integrate your local tariff, which often needs some developer time to adapt to your specific rules on the ground. And then there's a small variable cost per ticket sold to entice us to make our app as good as possible, and to pay for the actual costs of running the service and issuing the tickets. So we enter a partnership model with the PTOs, which will then also benefit from these marketing options that they can easily introduce a campaign, say for the Christmas market, for other events, for an employer. So this is all part of the package. And any new updates, releases, new functions are offered to all partners involved at the same time.
Yes, I've seen there was an exchange about the manual check-in, how this is considered. What is your reaction on that exchange?
It depends. Of course, it's a step more to have to manually check in when maybe before you had a monthly ticket. On the other hand, especially with the tracking involved, quite a few users are happy to have this active decision, touching in and touching out. Now I'm tracked when I touch in, and when I touch out, I'm not tracked anymore. So there's a data protection issue around that too. And so far, we haven't had anyone who complained about having to touch in, especially, I mean, obviously if you change trains or something, you don't have to touch in and out. So it's between, it's your journey from A to B. So far, our users haven't felt that is too much to do. And in fact, it's a lot easier than working the ticket machine or entering your destination in the app. And yeah.
Yeah. And I still see one question before we conclude. It is about why did you choose swipe in instead of purely be in, be out without doing a manual check-in?
So be in, be out often relies on physical infrastructure, so beacons and some sensors to use the Bluetooth technology. And that again increases costs for operators. I mean, that may work for a large urban area, but what about the rural areas? Do you really want all operators to have to install beacons, even though they're not expensive as such? So that's one argument. We do not need any infrastructure from any of the operators on the ground. And we are, I think we can say we are working on a be out model to increase the comfort, so that users can opt to have certain places where they are logged out automatically. However, we always do this with the user in mind. We don't want to end up with rules that lock someone out or that check someone out when this is the wrong time. So imagine you're at a train station, you got there with the long distance train, then you go to the shop and get the stuff for dinner, you miss your next connection, but you travel 35 minutes after you arrived. If our rule was we check you out after 30 minutes, then you get on the S-Bahn and you are traveling without a valid ticket. If you're then controlled, we will lose this user forever because they will have to pay a fine and they will be very unhappy. So we try and do this very carefully, slowly, together with the users to figure out what are the actual points where it makes complete sense to have a fixed rule, check me out here when I get to work, when I get home, but not to have simple rules around that to just check someone out when in fact they may continue their journey. So it's an interesting area we are working on, and we will see how this pans out in the future.
Thank you, Paula. With this, you're released. We thank you for the presentation and the answers, and conclude this first big thematic part of the morning with the three suppliers that have spoken to us about these aspects related to the future of smart ticketing. And we now switch to the second part, which is about improving the customer experience with intelligent ticketing system. And here we change now the perspective, and we will have a representative from an operator. It is David Lenné. He's Mass Director at Transdev. So David has a long track record in terms of startups that he has launched. One of them, which I noticed, was VAT Mobile, 100% electrical vehicles in self-service. And so he experienced a lot of those mobility-related facts before joining Transdev as Mass Director. And he will speak to us about mass governance. We have had already some allusions to the word mass, but he will see it from the interoperability perspective, from local to multi-local. So please, David, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Do you hear me well? Is that fine?
It sounds a bit bumpy.
Wow. Okay.
As a first impression.
Okay. Is that better or?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you see the screen?
I see the screen.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. Just 2 words about Transdev first. A world leader in public transport operation. operating in about 20 countries and operating 17 modes. Our main business model is really B2G, and you will see a very link to our positioning at MAS. So let's start directly about of mobility, because our calling mobility as a service, I believe, is simply the digitalization mobility arena, transformation into a user centricity services. A bit of context that you know very well. We are facing major issues around the world, with 80% of the population will be living in an urban area by 2050. In OECD countries, we're spending about 50 hours per year in congestion. Obviously, not nowadays for obvious reason. And we're losing about 7 million lives prematurely. And our business model in terms of mobility today is mainly centered on private cars, which are used 4% of their time, but represent 85% of your mobility expenditure. So this is a nonsense to us. So if you think that digital allows direct access to mobility services and can optimize vehicle occupancy by sharing their usability, well, the reduction of the number of vehicles associated with a new technology like electric and hydrogen energy, then we can achieve the goal. So we went from a very private car-centric organization associated with public transportation, so limited services basically, to, with the digitalization, to the rise of a lot of new services like ride-hailing, carpooling, bicycle, e-scooters, etc., but very fragmented. So very complicated to use by the end user. So if we're thinking end user centricity, we need to integrate all these solutions into one single stop shop, into one single solution with one payment channel, lying on a intermodal trip planner that will do the job for you basically, in order to facilitate and ease usage of mobility and to optimize network design and the offer on the territory. So this is about the context where we are, and what we can see is that digital marketplace allow direct access to all offers from one-stop shop for a faster and better user experience. So if you do the parallel with retail and a player that you all know very well that is called Amazon, that basically integrated all retail into one-stop shop, and that's the research job for you. Well, MAS is about that for mobility, integrating all mobility and do the organization of the trip for you through a trip planner. The only main difference in between both is that we do believe at Transdev that daily mobility is not global as opposed to the retail, but local, and we will see why and how. A quick word about the virtuous value chain we are trying to achieve with that digital transformation. First point, we must make it easier to use, and easier it is to use, more you have users, and presentation from Fertic demonstrated it. And more you have users, more you have data, and more you have revenues. More you have your revenues, more you can deploy transport offers on the territory, and more you have data, more you can optimize the operation of the mobility through a very a more efficient network design in line with end users' needs. And more you have, more you optimize operation, more you have data, more you have transport offer, more you can personalize those offers to the needs of the end users, and more you can personalize, easier it is to use, etc., etc. So this is the virtuous value chain we are trying to achieve. An important message here is that MAS is not only an app. I see in every conferences around the world people focusing on MAS smartphone application. Well, MAS is not only about the smartphone application. We see here you can see the key stakes as we see it at Transdev. efficiency and environmental outcomes of the mobility. It should enable competition to push innovation towards a better experience for the end user, better functionalities, extra services, etc. It should be built around public transport, which is the backbone of urban mobility and the only solution that can do mass transit and can respond to the frenetic mobility needs that we are facing in urban areas. MaaS should be metro and regional solutions. It should cover a pool of life. It should be coherent, not only a city, but a pool of life, including lower dense area and suburban. MaaS should be inclusive and accessible for all. That is really important. In France, for example, mobility is a right. So by being a right, it needs to be accessible to everyone because mobility allows you to go to work, allows you to go buy your food, it allows you to go to education, etc. So it is absolutely key. It should develop standards for interoperability in between territories, countries, and even though continents. And then at the end of the day, it should allow you to have more choice with efficient and productive networks. So these are the key stakes. And by I believe that this transformation, this digital transformation of mobility relies on three main pillars. First is investment. We need to invest in mobility services to ensure access for all on a territory. There is no mobility as a service without services of mobility, basically. And we need to invest into infrastructure to improve security and comfort, and especially for free-floating solutions such as biking or e-scooters that are too dangerous but if they don't have their own infrastructure to be separated from cars, for example. Second pillar is politics. We need to have strong mobility policies made of rewards and constraints in order to push new usage and to encourage end user to shift to this new usage. Many examples like the toll in London, the dedicated way on the circular road of Grenoble in France. Well, many examples across the world, and it demands courage from our politicians because sometimes putting constraints to the car may not be very compatible with the fact to be re-elected, for example. And the third pillar is what we call the MaaS application. It's the experience of the end user, making sure that we ease the usage, the access, and we personalize its needs, its offers towards its needs in real time. So that's where the MaaS app interferes. Going to the next slide, it's getting into more details in order to explain these three pillars. You see, which are on left of the slide, both transport services and integrated mobility. So investing into an smart application solution. So these are the investments. Then if you add that with a key pillar, which is data, in order to put towards two objectives, personalize the offers to the end user's needs, as well as optimizing the operation through a better network design. MaaS is a fantastic tool to get all the data of the mobility habit of the end user. So it allows you to understand better what are the needs and to control your operation and optimize your operation and network design. And from these two pillars, you add the mobility policy, as I was explaining, and then you have a better customer experience, and then you can achieve maybe the goals that we are aiming for, which is increasing ridership into public transportation as well as shared mobility, whatever it is. So that digital transformation of the mobility has created and is creating now two new key roles on the territories. The first one is the role of integrator. So these digital organizations that are building the app basically by integrating all the operators into one single application with an account, so that allows you to pay whether it is post payment, prepayment, or pay as you go. And the second role is the role of mobility operator, which is a new role, the operator of the mobilities of the territory, and that should respond to the PTA, who should be at the governance of the mobility of the territory to ensure access for all and inclusivity. And the operator will be in between the PTA and the end user. And we see already some PTAs in many countries, in Europe especially, thinking of defining tenders to and building new organization to host a mobility operator or a mass operator. So if we go now on the that is should mass be local or international or global, and especially for daily mobility. So just a quick word first. At Transdev, we definitely give priority to daily local mobility. In a country like France, daily mobility represents 98% of the trip, as opposed to long distance mobility that represents 2% of the mobility. I guess it is probably the same in every country, as considering the fact that France is the most touristic countries in the world, we could think that the long distance mobility would be at a higher rate in France. Well, no, basically, and local daily mobility is 98% of the mobility. So we are focusing on that. And focusing on daily mobility requires very deep and fine integration of territorial specificities. You must integrate all modes of local transportation, whatever they are, whether they are from international operators, national operators, or very local operators. You must ensure access for all and inclusiveness by integrating all tariff schemes. And they are very complicated if you, apart from the single ticket or book ticket, you've got all the subscription, whether they're seniors, students, etc., etc. So that must integrate all these tariffs. And finally, it must integrate all territorial points of interest, not only touristic one, but administration, pool, library, etc., etc. Every territorial point of interest, including hospital and health points of interest. So that means that for this reason, it can only be really to the territorial specificity. So we are strengthening our B2G2C and B2B positioning. B2G because it is 85% of our turnover, and we do believe that mass and mobility policy should be under the governance of the PTA. And why B2B? Because we do believe as well that B2B is absolutely key. Companies have a key role to play if we want to achieve mobility. Most of the congestion in the morning are made by people going to work and in the evening coming back from work. So we need companies to participate fully into the mobility policy and the organization of the mobility. That means probably more telework. That means probably not everyone going at the same time in the morning at the office, maybe at different times, in order to reduce congestion and facilitate access and usage to mobility, and especially nowadays with that COVID crisis. Definitely we're not B2C, B2C. I'm trying to speed up because we have a short time. So a little slide, a quick slide on how all that should be orchestrated through digitalization, through data-driven technology solutions that we're working on and that allow to guide, control a fluid, inclusive, and accessible mobility for all. First platform on the left is an orchestration platform in real time that allows the PTA to have a view and to orchestrate mobility on its territory. And especially for free floating, for example, a good example is Paris. Paris had up to 16 e-scooters players, a real mess basically. And now City of Paris decided to reduce it to 3 players with 5,000 e-scooter per players. How do you orchestrate? How do you control that? By an orchestration platform that shows you in real time what is on your territory. And that orchestration platform may allow you as well to monetize the occupation of the ground and to influence your mobility policy. We know that e-scooters organizations are mainly interested into the center of the city because that's where the money is. Well, tomorrow, city will be able to fine the occupation of the center of the city, and as opposed to subsidize the deployment of e-scooters in lower dense area or suburban. To do so, they need to be able to orchestrate. Second platform on the right end of the slide is really data analysis and science oriented. It's a data platform that allow you to collect all the data, to analyze the data, and to do data science to always optimize the offer to the end user with new business model, with extra services, as well as optimize your operation. You can see, for example, on a fixed lane that is very used in the morning, but not during the day, could be transformed into a transport on demand lane during the day. Or you could analyze where your mobility hub would be the most efficient on your territory, etc. And finally, the third platform, which is the end user platform, basically, which is a mass application that allow the end user to organize his trip and use and pay its mobility. So these are the 3 data-driven technology solutions we are working on and we are developing at the moment. So our positioning at Transdev is, as you've understood it, under the governance of the PTA, who controls and orchestrates the mobility. So we are positioned as a partner of the PTA, who have the governance. So our mass solutions are neutral, so they can be operated by competition or by any other third parties. We give and leave the choice of the UX and the transport modes to be integrated, although we provide a white label solution to make it easier and quicker to develop and to reduce costs if the PTA wants it. Again, our solution can be operated by third parties. We ensure the control of the mobility public policy by the PTA, and in our view, PTA should have the owning and the governance on the end user's data as a trusty third party, and the PTA put that data at disposal of the mass operator that is working with all the other operators to make sure that this ecosystem provides the best solution. In a mass project, we see 6 operational priorities to capture the whole potential of mass. Obviously, UX, ergonomy of the solution is key. You have all used a smartphone application. If you don't understand it after 10 to 20 seconds when you don't use it well. And CRM, customer knowledge, customer relationship is absolutely key in order to retain customers and in order to make sure that you always offer the best experience. At the right end, operational efficiency, network design, as I explained, mass is a fantastic tool to optimize operation through data. And so that brings us to the square in the middle, which is data collection and science, that's gonna feed the first square, which is customer knowledge, and the third square, which is operations. The fourth square is, as I explained, mobility policy made of incentives and constraints. And then the 2 last squares are very important and probably the most complicated ones, which are partnership and contract management with all the operators of the territory, and business model and revenue sharing, where there are a lot of potential and things to be done. We are only at the beginning. At Transdev, for now, we apply a very simple business model, which is commission that is taken from the usage to the other operators through the MaaS application, but many other business models are possible through licensing, extra services, etc., etc. So the PTA, the governance, and we think we are legitimate at Transdev to be a key player in MaaS for various reasons. First, we are a mobility expert operating 17 different modes across the world, so we know what is operating a mobility service, basically. We are mainly a public transport operator, the backbone of urban mobility. We have a historical and privileged partnership with PTA since decades as a public transport operator. And we are a public service-oriented organization, which is key for inclusivity and accessibility for all. And finally, but not least, we are today a MaaS world leader with a lot of initiatives that this slide is showing you. For now, we have external and internal initiatives. We were the first shareholder historically, and we still are a shareholder in WIM, MaaS Global, a solution you may know, and it is the most famous in the world at the moment. And we are the first shareholder in Transer, which is a Dutch solution, which is basically a global ticketing platform with one standardized API that allow MaaS digital organization that are building the MaaS solution just to plug on that platform and have a European ticketing through an API. And internally, we are part of the AMAZE consortium, which is the MaaS of Amsterdam, through a tender launched by the Dutch government. And we are part of the ICAR consortium, which is the MaaS of Marseille. We have launched PaaS Mobility in Mulhouse, in East France, sadly famous at the moment as a COVID cluster in France. But that was the first MaaS in France in September 2018, and still the only one real MaaS in France today, integrating public transportation, bicycle, parking, car sharing, and carpooling. And we will launch after the COVID crisis. It was supposed to be launched beginning of April, but because of the crisis, it's been postponed. Moveeasy Saint-Etienne, which will be our showcase of the product we are building, the MaaS product we are building that can be adapted to PTA's will and territorial specificities. Moveeasy will be that showcase, so to be launched after the crisis. We have transformed our organization from a public transport operator to a mobility operator on the territory. So we have transformed our organization into two main pillars. One is MaaS integration services, doing the PTA through our product platform made of modular brick that allow a quicker build of a solution, and that allow reducing cost of the solution by going through a product model. And that MaaS integration services is mainly operated by Cityway, which is a subsidiary of Transdev, a technological subsidiary of Transdev, made of 200 developers specialized into trip planning, transport on demand, and mobility operator integration. And then we have as well created a MaaS operation services that I'm very honored to manage, which basically is doing the project management of a MaaS project on a territory, which manage the general contractor, which is focusing on UX and user centricity functional specification. We manage partnership, we do the contract management, we define digital marketing procedures and deploy and implement digital marketing solution, as well as CRM dedicated to MaaS with one single point of contact in a call center to make it visible and easy to use for the end user, but that call center redistributing the claim to each operator integrated into MaaS so that the operators are not disintermediated from the end user. And we work on loyalty and gamification program, as well as I said, as customer services and call center. So we don't talk a lot nowadays about MaaS operation. We are mainly talking in the world about MaaS integration, basically the application, but the operation of MaaS, the operation of the mobility and not the mobilities of the territory is a key subject as well for tomorrow. And it is last slide. I'm trying to go very fast. Sorry about that. Is really a kind of a demonstration of what we're doing in Mobizi that will be launched after the crisis, as I said. So that showcase of MaaS by Transdev. So Mobizi, based on a white label UX and on our product platform, integrate public transport of the metropole of Saint-Etienne, which is made of 500,000 inhabitants. It integrates two business models for the end user. Post-payment end of the month, a bit like telco operators, where you have the statement of all your mobility and one payment, or pay as you go, depending on the choice of the end user. It integrates car sharing, carpooling, parking, taxis, and public transport, as I said. Taxis is an interesting point because in many areas and territories in France, apart from the very big cities, taxis are independent workers. So we managed to integrate all of them into one application with the exact same experience of a new Uber, for example. So you can book your taxi in real time, pay in one click, and see your taxi coming, which was very welcome by the Taxi of Saint-Etienne, because as independent, they could not pay for such a technology. So that upgrade their customer experience and that protect them against a ride hailing if needed. And you see as well partnership with ALD and Allianz. ALD, which is a worldwide leader in fleet management. This is because we are launching as well. We integrate companies of the territory so that their employees can have a budget from their companies into Mobizi, so they can use the mobility of the territories with a budget dedicated by their company. And Allianz, world leader into insurance. With Allianz, we're working the insurance question, which is key in MaaS. How do you, because all operators have different insurance condition, you need to align that to make it visible to the end user, and you need to upgrade some insurance condition of some operators and to make it the best possible, as well as we're working with Allianz all the question of guarantee to destination, return guarantee, what's happening when you have a problem with your car sharing, you have an accident or your bicycle, who do you contact, the MaaS operator, how do you treat that problem? That's what we're working with Allianz. Basically, that's about it about Mobizi, and I hope this crisis will end as soon as possible so that you can use it and see it. There is a video, but I don't know if the connection is good enough. I'm gonna try. You will let me know if it works. that's it.
Thank you, David, for your presentation. And
did it work?
it worked. Sometimes it was a bit slow, but it worked. One could catch the point. And thank you for your presentation, which gave a very nice overview on MaaS, and you put some strong messages to put a bit the things in order, which many times are confusing in the world, that many people think an app is already MaaS, etc. And what about governance? So the floor is open for questions. We don't have so much time for questions now, but one or two we still can take.
Any question if you hear me?
For the time being, I don't see questions. I have one, because you were mentioning that MaaS should be under the governance of the public transport authorities. So you have a clear view on that. Is there a dedicated wish list that you as operator have towards, I would say, the legal political framework? You have outlined them, but I guess as you're active in so many countries, you see many differences in the framework conditions. Is there something which you would say, I need to insist on this or that aspect to guarantee this role of governance?
So just a quick word. I see that I've been asked to open my video, and I'm trying, but it doesn't work. Sorry about that. So probably the most important is that you hear me. Well, I can say that at least in Europe, we see that main trend being confirmed as a mobility should be territorial and under the governance of the metropole of the public authority. Outside of Europe, we see that trends, that same trend in countries like Australia and Canada, for example. Now, United States is first, they are quite late on these questions, and public transportation is, as you know, less developed in US, that see the car as probably the ride hailing and the transport on demand as probably the main tool. Whether it will come in the US, I don't know. Some of the PTAs in the US are seeing MaaS as a potential tool to regain the power on the mobility policy and the mobility infrastructure, but I couldn't say. But at least in Europe, Australia, and Canada, that trend of mobility under the governance of the PTA is very strong. And in regards to interoperability, because if we're talking local daily mobility and therefore territorial solution, how do I ensure interoperability? Two things. One is global player could probably provide a global solution interoperable, because they don't need a long distance traveler, does not need such a deep integration of the mobility and of the offer. He mainly needs a ticket or taking a taxi or taking a bike, but not as a deep integration. And if we're talking interoperability in between those deep integrated territorial solution, we do believe that it could be created at least at a European level, what we call a mobility account, where you would, wherever you travel in Europe, through roaming, you would be pushed with the territorial solution, and just by accepting that this solution is using your European mobility account that integrates with obviously all the security and the GDPR compliancy, that integrate all your payment details and personal details, very quickly in one click, you could create your account. So that will make it very easy to use. Roaming plus a European mobility account may ensure an interoperability in between territorial solutions.
Yeah, thank you, David, for this point. I think European Commission is really keen on this, as we see in the directives and the re-engineering of the actual directives they are doing.
Yeah.
So I think your contribution is very vital to that. So yeah, I don't see any additional questions. If
Okay.
you,
I think we can. Once again, thank you very much, David, for your presentation.
You're welcome.
It was really interesting. And now we're moving on to our lunch break. So we'll see you back in a 45 minutes time for our last presentation of the day. So once again, like the room will be available, it will be on, but the presentations start on time. Just enjoy your lunch, and I hope all of you will join us for our last presentation of the day. Thank you very much.
same to you. See you.